Good evening, Somers, and welcome to the Somers Town Board Work Session, Thursday, June 6, 2019. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and be seated. Okay, our first order of business this evening is public comment. I'll make a motion to open public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Is there anyone here for public comment? Please give us your name and address.
Linda Luciano, 10 Walker Drive, Yorktown Heights,
Thank
in
you.
the town of Somers. Okay, so the reason why I'm here, if you remember, 9 years ago, I stood here before you guys complaining about the noise and the music coming from the Roadhouse Tavern, as it was back then, up on Route 118. I showed up with signatures of other residents who could hear the music from their homes. Now it's called Luna Bar and Lounge, and it's a dance club. We've been listening to this music blasting till 3 a.m., 4 to 5 nights a week. Sunday, March 10th at midnight, we stopped calling and complaining back in 2016 when it first opened because we weren't getting anywhere. We would call the state troopers because they're the only ones who are ever on after midnight. They would come, they would hear the music, but they said the only thing we can do is go and tell them to turn the music down. We can't issue a citation. That has to be a Somers police officer. So March 10th, I started to call again, and it was midnight. I called the police, asked them to please go up and ask them to turn down the music, and the dispatcher said, "It's a Sunday." And I said, "Yeah, I know. This is what we've been dealing with for years." He was shocked. We gave up calling, obviously, and so March we started calling again. The music gets really bad after midnight. That's when it really gets rocking and rolling up there. And when I call, it's the troopers who always show up. Sometimes we're waiting an hour, hour and a half, depending on when they can come to your house and hear the music. They tell us we can't do anything because they cover many municipalities and they don't carry around the town codes of all those municipalities. I've been told this for the last 9 years. I've spoken to Chief Driscoll about it. He doesn't understand why they're saying that because he says they're supposed to do it. Obviously, there's many nights where we have lost sleep and we're exhausted because we're waiting up for the troopers to come. We just deserve peace and tranquility at night. This is a very old building that has never been soundproofed and should not be allowed to play music during the week till 3 a.m. On their website, they advertise that they're opened 5 nights a week till 3 a.m., and on Thursday nights, they're open till 4 a.m. Now, I know in your town code, it says that premises are only allowed to be open till 3 a.m. Why? I have no idea when they're playing music and we're listening to that. It's just not fair to the residents. Soundproofing isn't thrown. When we complained about this 9 years ago, what the owner at the time did was he threw up styrofoam insulation panel in the side window of the building saying, "I've soundproofed it." That didn't do anything because the music is coming out the back of the building, again, a very old building, and to soundproof it properly, the walls would have to be opened up and have insulation put into those walls so that we don't have to hear the music. But he's never done this, the owner. I spoke to the building inspector's office this morning, and I was told that as far as they know, it's never been soundproofed. I know in your chapter 90-3, which you guys amended 9 years ago when I first came and complained, It says, any place for dancing or entertainment shall not be open for such purpose after 3 a.m., which they are. It should be unlawful for the licensee, owner, proprietor, manager, or person in charge of any place of entertainment to permit on the premises any entertainment amplified by a mechanical device of such an intensity, character, and duration as to disturb the peace, tranquility, and good order of the people of the town of Somers. It shall be unlawful to operate a place of entertainment unless the premises is soundproofed. Well, it hasn't been soundproof, but yet we're still issuing them an entertainment license for 9 years. And it's just not fair. They advertise on their Facebook page that they have plenty of parking for 100 cars. I have it all printed out here as proof. We all know this building, there is not 100 spaces. Maybe there's 12, 14 if you're squeezing them in. They are parked on both sides of Route 118 all the time, late at night, on people's yards, in people's driveways. And it's just outrageous. I spoke to Chief Driscoll last night, and he tells me his officers do not hear the music. Now, for 9 years, we have had Somers police officers and we've had troopers out there, and they have heard the noise because when it was Roadhouse Tavern, there were citations issued because the police officers heard the music. So I don't understand why he's saying that they're not hearing it. The chief told me he has a folder of complaints, and it's not just me calling it complaining. I don't know where the police are going and sitting at night to hear the music. If you sit on 118, you don't hear the music because of the road noise and because the music is coming out the back of the building. Over the last 8.5 years, his officers have heard the music because summonses obviously have been written. Most recently, 3 summonses have been issued last month, and the officer at my house definitely heard it. So it really bothers me that he's telling me his officers aren't hearing it. Many a night when we've had police officers come, Somers and troopers, sometimes they say, well, it's low or it's muffled, it's not that bad. But they are not living here and laying in bed listening to it till 3 a.m. I invited the police officer a couple weeks ago to come upstairs to my bedroom so that he can hear how it gets louder as you go higher. It is certainly an anomaly on how the music carries out the back of the building and across the hill, and I'm not crazy, and I'm tired of being made out like I am, and that this is not important. It's not supposed to be heard at all off their property line, never mind 1,000 feet behind it. Parkway Drive residents hear the music as well, and they are higher than we are. In fact, one neighbor is here to confirm that they can hear the music from their home. I nor anyone else should have to listen to this music till 3 o'clock Thursday through Monday. Our quality of life is being disturbed. So many troopers have come out over the past 3 years, and they have all heard it, but they will not issue the summons like I explained. I understand that the same thing is happening at Traditions, and I went and spoke to neighbors behind there, and they tell me that they have been blown off as well when they have complained. There, they deal with it once in a while during Traditions special events, not 3 to 4 times a week like Luna Bar. Everyone has asked me, why is the supervisor still issuing a cabaret license to this establishment? And I know I have asked you the same thing in my emails. On your website, it states that you have the right to pull a license for whatever reason. You can also find the owner and each of his employees and the DJ. So I ask you tonight in front of everyone and the residents who are watching, after so many complaints, not just from me, but from others as well, why aren't you pulling his license since he is not abiding by your laws? Thank you.
Patty, how often does that license get renewed?
Once a year.
Yearly?
Excuse me, I'm no longer of that premises.
Oh, well,
Excuse me,
It's pub-
this is public comment. Is anyone else here for public comment, sir?
You can
Come on
come
up.
up and
Give us your name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Alfred Jacobson, and I'm the owner.
make sure you speak to the mic.
Hi, I'm Alfred Jacobson, and I'm the owner of the building at 208 Tomahawk. And my address is 804 Bronx River Road, apartment 6E in Bronxville, New York. I've been the owner of this building for over 10 years. And first of all, I'd like to say that the statements that were just made do not at all reflect what has the actions we've taken and anything regarding the sound or the music at Luna's. I'd like you to know that Luna's and the one of the managers and owners is here, has done everything they can to cooperate and be a good neighbor. With regard to the hours of operation, while they are open until 3:45 or 4 a.m., they stop the dancing at 3 a.m., which is complying with the ordinance. It's my understanding, as the last person said, that the police made a detailed report on this property. They did over 40 hours of surveillance sitting with their car across the street, maybe 200 to 300 feet from the property. And that, I believe that report should be given to the board because it would be helpful to me if I could get a copy of the report. If there was anything that they found negative, we'd do everything we can to comply. With regard to soundproofing, there are several windows in the property and walls. All of the windows were not just covered, but filled with 1.5 inch styrofoam board, and then there was soundproofing fabric applied to all the surfaces in the rear room. Now, when it was, I was also the owner when it was Roadhouse Tavern. The issues then started when there was live music. So in order to comply, after this law went into effect, we ceased all live music because it's much more difficult to control the volume when a band or something is up there because they have their own dials. So now they have a DJ, which is under control of the manager, and they have a jukebox, which also the volume's not in the hands of the people playing the jukebox. So they have gone out of their way to make sure that they're in compliance with the town ordinance. It seems, if the complainant believes they're hearing excessive noise, it is not coming from Luna's. And I think that the police report, if you could get that, if you have access to that, I believe that will back that up, and I'd appreciate if we went by the facts. So I'm also aware, she read some of the statutes. Section 123-1 is that the purpose of the chapter is to regulate the creation of unreasonably loud, disturbing, and unnecessary noises which are deemed to be of such character and intensity and/or duration to be detrimental to the health, safety, comfort, repose, peace, and welfare of the residents of the town of Somers. I just want to assure you that they are absolutely in compliance with that, and they are not creating any disturbing sounds on this property. There are literally hundreds of neighbors. The person who just spoke is not a neighbor. She lives very, very far from this property. There are if there's hundreds of people closer. And I just want it to be put in context that, yes, it's a bar. They're totally aware of the regulations, and they do everything they can to comply with the regulations. The town undertook a surveillance type thing to make sure of that, and I think that the findings of that, as she was told by Chief Driscoll, was that the chief told her that there was no excessive noise. And again, if she's hearing excessive noise, I don't know if a kid next door is playing an Xbox at night. I don't know what it is, but it's not coming from Luna's.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you know any of those neighbors, as you say, to the establishment personally? Have you spoke to any of them?
I did when it was Roadhouse. I went around and spoke to...
Since then, have you?
No, I have not.
I'm just wondering if you know those people and they will come and say, look, I never hear anything.
Right.
That would be, you live in Bronxville, so I'm not
Right.
quite sure how you'd actually know.
Right.
So, just wondering. The second thing I have, obviously,
Could I answer that, though?
Yeah, sure.
So this is all a total surprise to us. I had no idea until this past week that that this meeting was even taking place. So Chief Driscoll had called me to say, we wanted you to know that the topic of the premises you own, and he said he couldn't give me any details, but that it was the subject of a public hearing. And I called the town supervisor, and I introduced myself, and I told him much of what I just said, and he said thank you for the call, but that I was welcome to attend
Of course.
this meeting.
Of course you are.
Just to be precise, though, this is public comment.
Right.
Yes.
This
a
is
hearing.
not on the agenda, and it's not a
Okay,
hearing.
right.
So essentially, when we go to public comment, everyone has 3 minutes to essentially say or address anything they like, right? And so out of respect, we're giving you more than 3 minutes.
Yes, I appreciate
And we're
that.
trying to understand what the complaint is.
It's a significant...
If it was on the agenda, it would be notified.
Okay, but I'm just saying why I didn't go to
Okay.
neighbors or
Just
anything.
clarify.
Yeah, I understand.
Because
I got you.
I was not aware
Right.
of this, and that's the current status.
My only other question is this: like every business owner, you want to be a good neighbor, I presume.
Yes.
And I was just wondering, in terms of that, or maybe not, obviously I don't think you've done it, but going forward, down the road here, there was a thought of some people buying one of the houses down here and putting in an establishment where you have weddings and that type of thing. There was concern about noise from neighbors there. They tested it out and got I guess it's called a decimeter, where you can test the decibels out. Have you ever thought about doing that to see exactly what is going on, where you could actually measure it? When you say unreasonable, that is somewhat of an imprecise, subjective judgment. Is that something that you would consider, just out of curiosity?
We would absolutely do that, and if the board set a decibel level that we had to monitor and maintain less than that, I'm happy to do that. I'm sure that the managers could comply. So we did, not now, because this is just happening, but last time when it was many years ago, we did have decibel meters just to keep track of the level. But it never came to that. There was never, the town, they never even questioned me. I never appeared or anything. They just made this law, and we've tried to comply by it. We immediately, as I said, canceled all live music, even though there was it was mainly acoustic nights. Drums and things carry further than things that come out of a speaker.
So this is all recorded music out of a
Yes.
jukebox or something
Yes, which is, again, it's totally controllable. So,
right,
thank you for...
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here for public comment?
Joe Luciano, 10 Walker Drive, Shenorock. This gentleman here, which I believe it was him, we stood on the street, me, him, and the chief of police. We shook hands. He said he was going to take care of the problem. He went up to the bar. He lowered the music. 20 minutes later, the music was back up. As far as soundproofing, he did nothing. I went on the property when they were playing at night. There's nothing done to the windows. There's nothing done to anything. He has done zero. Nobody has done anything except push this along. I want to know from the board, how far of a distance do you think it should be that you shouldn't have to hear it? Do you have a number? No. Give me a number.
This is public comment.
Okay.
We take your comments.
Walker Drive is 1,000 feet away. Parkway Drive is 1,600 feet away. This woman right here can hear it. It's 1,600 feet away. How far should it have to be where you don't have to hear it? My windows beat with the beat of the sound, okay? It shouldn't have to be that way. Now, different neighbors, because of the roll of the hill, My house is tall, so maybe I'm picking it up better than houses that are closer because they're on a steep hill coming down off that hill. But how far should you have to be not to hear it? That's all. He stood there on the street with the chief of police. He did nothing, absolutely nothing. That's it. Thank you.
Right. Is there anyone else here that hasn't spoken yet for public comment?
Hi.
Hello.
I am on the license for the bar.
Could you use the
I'm
mic,
sorry.
please?
I'm on the license on the bar, and I have grown up in Somers my whole life. I just started actually, so.
Your name also?
Yeah.
Your name?
Hello. Oh, Michaela Formasano, 176D Heritage Hills, Somers, New York. So yes, I was wondering, obviously we want to fix the problem. If there is a problem, I'm more than willing to. And we are looking into further soundproofing and stuff like that. I've already started to make it a little bit better for the neighbors. But the cops have come in and spoke to my manager, and they've all said that they haven't heard, the noise that they're saying that they hear. So obviously, if we can fix the problem, we'll fix it. I'm more than willing to, and I want to be obviously a good member of the community. And obviously, we want to solve any problems. But yeah, other than that, I am willing to fix whatever problem there is, and obviously what you suggested with the decibels and stuff like that, that's very interesting, and we'd be willing to do that, so anything like that. But again, the cops have come multiple times when I'm on the property and spoken to my manager, who's also here, and said that they haven't heard the problem. So that's another problem, like finding out what the actual level and stuff like that is. So again, just what I was told. So.
May I just ask you a different question?
Of course, go ahead.
There is a second issue of parking. Do you advertise
Yes.
100 parking spaces?
The parking is not, yes, we had that and it was wrong. Obviously, we don't have 100 cars parking there. That's impossible.
Right.
Again, that was wrong, and we took that down.
Is
So we
there a
took that off
problem
of our
with parking
Facebook.
there? Do you see a problem
I
with
haven't
parking?
seen a
that
problem
I mean,
at
people
all.
parking in the wrong place would be a
I mean, obviously, that's a problem. I would not want anybody parking on lawns. I would feel horrible.
we don't.
Obviously, we can't have that. But again, we try to be very respectful. And again, I don't want to have any problems with that. So again, if there is a problem, we're willing to fix it and move forward. And obviously, be a part of the community in a positive light rather than a negative light. So again, willing to fix anything going forward. But yes, the parking, that was just, obviously there's not 100 spots there. So again, like I said, going forward, definitely willing to fix whatever it is that is the problem.
Okay.
But yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Anyone else? Public comment? You're next.
My name's Bob Cavino. I live on 7 Walker Drive. I'm actually closer to the bar than Linda and Joe, but I'm lower. And I'm across the street from them, so I'm 100 feet closer, and I hear the noise all the time. I'm not a big complainer, but I hear the noise all the time, and it's got to stop because it's all the time. I mean, going back when it was the old bar, when before it changed, I used to hear at night, 2:30 at night, people in the back screaming and yelling with the music playing because they probably opened the doors because it was hot in there, or whatever it was. But it was loud screaming, yelling, and music playing. It was even worse. It's muffled now, but it's there. I hear it all the time. I just want to let you know that, I'm closer than they are. I'm the closest one to it here, and I hear it all the time, but I'm lower. But there's people ahead of me on Walker Lane. I'm surprised they're not here complaining. It's going right to them before it gets to me, because I'm right across from them. So I just want to let you know, I want to let you know that I'm complaining about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks-
Do you
thanks for your
hear it
comment.
do you hear it? Does it change? Does the volume change at any point during the night? We hear it late at night. Does it change at like midnight 1? They turn it down,
no.
or it's just the same whenever
It's
you
the
hear
same.
it, no matter when it is.
And you hear a lot of the bass, like Joe
Bass
says,
will go, yeah.
his windows are moving because the bass is so loud.
Yeah.
But, you know, at least the screaming and yelling went away, so that's a good thing. Those people were drunk out there, obviously screaming in the back of that building, you know. So, anyway. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment.
Yeah.
Sir?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Emmanuel Sedano. I'm the manager of Lunas. We closed the door, the back door.
Name and address?
850 West 176, New York, New York. We did close 6 months ago the back door, the exit door, because I've been there for 8 months. So I thought it was a good idea for the owner to, you know, close the door, the exit door, so, you know, the complaining will have no complaints. But in the last 8 months, I'd had maybe 12 visits of cops saying that they have noise complaints. But the only thing they said was that they don't give tickets. They gave, the last 2 times they went, they gave 2 tickets. But the 12 times they went, they're like, okay, we're here talking in front of the bar, and I can barely hear the music. And we're like in front of the bar talking, having a conversation. And like a few more times they went, like few different cops, and like they went for like a noise complaint. So they're there, you know, there to listen to see if there's a really noise complaint. And what they come to a conclusion is that they told me I could hear the cars passing by harder than the music. So the last cop told me that he feels bad that he has to give me a ticket because he can't hear anything outside the bar, maybe 10 feet from the bar. He did ask me if there's one door open from the back, and I told him that we closed that door many months ago, maybe like 6 months ago. We closed the back door, so there's no people screaming in the back. I made sure the door was closed. There was one cop that went to one of a homeowner, maybe 100 yards away from the bar, and he literally told me that from over there he cannot hear anything. And I'm not gonna stand here in front of everybody and lie. I'm 32 years old, I don't have to lie. And they gave me like 12 or maybe 13 chances for not giving me a ticket, because when they get there, there's no reason to give me a ticket. But then, you know, it's the law. They have to show something for it, that they went over there and probably, you know, try to fix the problem by giving tickets. So, you know, in conclusion, I think it's a personal problem, problem with the bar, because there's no bass. The gentleman here said that the bass or whatever, we don't have a bass. It's just regular music, regular DJ. And I would probably feel so happy if I would have like 2 or 3 cops here that have been over there and they spoke to me in person, that they're not gonna lie. They literally told me that they'll feel bad giving me tickets because they're having a conversation in front of the bar. I mean, surely
You covered that. We heard
yeah,
you.
surely if you open the door for someone to come out of the bar, you're gonna hear some kind of music. But I think it's very impossible that you're 100 yards away and you can hear the music with your windows and door closed and you're in bed and you can hear the music, if the cops can't hear the music right next to the bar, you know. So
Can I ask you a question? You have 2 appearance tickets.
Yeah.
Have you appeared in court yet with those?
Yes, sir.
And what, if anything, was required of you as a result in terms of changing things, changing times, changing music, changing soundproofing? What, if anything, was required of you? And if nothing was required of you, what, if anything, have you done about that so it wouldn't happen again?
Well, what we did was, I only been there for 7 months. And owner told me that the last summer we had no complaints at all, but starting this winter, it was one time I went, I got to work at 9:45, and the cops were already there. There was no DJs. And I'm like, why the cops are there complaining for a noise complaint if the DJ is not even there yet?
That's not the question. The question is, what have you done?
what I
Have you
had.
made any changes as a
Yes.
result of those
We
tickets?
closed the back door, the exit door is closed totally, and now we're not supposed to even close that door because it's an exit door, and there's no base.
Don't lock it shut.
Huh?
Fire exit, don't lock it shut.
Yeah, I mean it's locked, but in a way that you can unlock it, you know. And we'd
Yeah, I'm going to
Okay.
make some comments
All right.
after we close public comment, but
Okay.
I want to make sure everybody had a chance to speak. So, thank you.
all right. Well,
All right, so yes, in fact, appearance tickets, I believe there's 2 of them were issued. And the reason they were issued is because the complainants filled out a deposition. A deposition is a piece of paper where you sign and swear your name that this is a valid complaint. So based on that, tickets were issued to Luna's Bar on 2, maybe 3 occasions. That, one of those tickets was returnable this Monday in court. And Roland, I was actually going to ask you at what point, since it is in front of the court, it's almost like we're holding court here, but
What are the next steps?
are we restricted? I mean,
Well, really, you're acting on a civil complaint, and what's going on in court is quasi-criminal. So
okay,
you certainly can respond to citizens
okay.
without
So-
restriction.
So what I'm hearing tonight is we have an owner, we have operators, and we have residents. I'm going to liken this to another sound noise situation with the Somers High School. I'm not talking at a school. They put in a new sound system, and people next to them complained about it. But you can hear those speakers from miles and miles away. So I don't think the complainants are lying. I don't think the operators are lying. I'm thinking there may be some anomaly where sound is traveling in an ordinate way, an ordinate amount of distance. It's before the town court. I don't know what the resolution is. I leave that to the court. But I do want you to know, and Mr. Luciano, we've been more than responsive. 9 years ago, the operator came in, he did do changes, stopped drumming and certain things. So, we are trying to improve the quality of life, your quality of life. Yes, you're entitled to it. They're entitled to operate a business. So we have, conflicting interests here. I'm not a judge. I don't know who's right, who's wrong. I understand totally. You hear music. Is it from Luna's? I don't know. Is there an underground, bar or speakeasy somewhere in the area? I make light of it. But we're going to see how this plays out in the court. And we also heard from the bartenders and the manager that besides closing the door, maybe you're going to take other soundproofing measures. But I will say that someone made a comment about police being there 40 hours. The town of Somers Police has spent 40 hours of surveillance of Luna's Bar, and none of those police officers issued a ticket based on what they witnessed. So let's see what happens in the court. We'll find out what the direction that is. This board has no actionable, we can't take action against a business that we don't have documented violations on. So that's why you're in the court process. The other thing I do want to mention, which is another regulatory body here, is I got a copy of a letter from the State Liquor Authority. So I don't know if the owner is aware of that, but they sent you a notice of notification of complaint, I guess, for you to take some action on. Now, you're saying you just okay, so So whoever has that liquor license got a letter from the SLA. So, and violations have been shared with them. So the case you have to make, it's not only to your neighbors, but you're also gonna have to deal with the State Liquor Authority. So just, I'm putting it out there. I thank you for your public comment. I do want to go down on record as saying, yes, the town has done things. We are concerned about your quality of life, but we will not close down businesses when we don't have documentation to do so. The judge in this case may have a different opinion. Once again, this is a civil issue, and the court is a different venue for this. So any further comments, gentlemen? Over here, sir.
No, we've got to stop it. We're not going to keep going back and forth.
A question.
Could you please make that report from the police available?
Through the Freedom of Information Act, you can contact the,
No, you can't.
no?
It's court.
Oh, it's in court.
Court's not covered under freedom of information.
It's been in court.
With the letter from the
What?
state liquor, are you asking for the state
No, he's
liquor?
asking for the
No,
police.
how could it be, why would it be in court that nobody even knew about it? It wasn't in court.
You already said you're the owner. You weren't aware of what's going on there.
I wasn't aware that the surveillance report was in court. Nobody.
I'm assuming the surveillance report went to the court.
No, it didn't, as far as,
Yeah.
it just went to.
When you say a surveillance report, they may have a log of 40 hours of surveillance.
Correct.
And that gets
That we
submitted to
could
the
request.
court. So,
Okay, thank you.
okay, you're welcome. All right, I'm going to make a motion. Anyone else for public comment? A question, not a comment. This is a courtesy right now.
Yes. First of all, no one here can hear it from their house, okay? Including him, or the manager, or the girl living in Heritage Hills. Another thing is, just so you know, they postponed the court date. We were there, and they asked for postponement. So, just want to clear the air there.
Okay?
Okay.
Understood.
We're done.
Thank you. Okay, I make a motion to close public hearing. Public comment.
Second.
It's not a hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you all for coming tonight and sharing your concerns with us. All right, the next item on the agenda. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the design concept for town entry markers for the town of Somers. I was notified just the other day that the architect that was going to come in and do the proposal had to be called away on another project. I've put him on the agenda for our next meeting, but the materials were all sent to you regarding, and the issue, for those who are here, maybe you wanted to hear about that, the town is considering new signage for the town. We've been losing signage as the years go by, either from the signs getting old and falling down or missing. So this is a proposal to actually have some kind of stone monuments as markers coming into the town. The architect is expressing them as being elegant, not very, the town of Somers name, and established 1788. So he'll be in next meeting to further explain the presentation to us.
Good. The next meeting, meaning next week or in July?
No, next week.
Next week, good.
The 13th.
Good.
Okay, so Race Amity Day. We have Susan Cody with us.
Familiar?
Yeah.
Didn't we just see you a few weeks ago?
Yes,
Yes, we did.
good to see you all again. I made some notes because I don't want to forget anything. Excuse me.
Sure.
I don't,
It's falling out. But without the glasses, it's all a blur.
got it.
So, our second annual Race Amity Day plans are firmed up pretty well. we're going to be at Reese Park and in the library from 12 to 5 on this Sunday, June 9th. And so at 12 o'clock, we'll start the setup. We'll have, you know, for every meeting, we start with like refreshments and an opportunity for people to visit with each other. And so we'll do this again on this coming Sunday while we're having the setup and so on.
Will that be under the pavilion or in the library?
We had initially thought in the pavilion, but the band that is going to play contacted me this morning and asked if they could set up in the library.
Oh, in the library.
So we'll probably do the formal program unless they change their minds when they get to the park. We'll do the formal program in the library. I'm prepared to do either.
Got
Do
it.
they know that we have the nice stage and everything there?
I think they do. I did mention it.
Which
Oh,
is
okay.
covered.
Because I think it's supposed to be a beautiful day.
I
So
think
it'd be
it's
nice
supposed to
to
be a
do it
beautiful
outside.
day too. So if I can talk them into being outside, I will.
I mean, I'm just curious, how big is the band?
It's a 4-piece, but they've got a lot of equipment.
Yeah, so I mean, in the library, that's going to be rough, but okay.
Yeah, it's gonna. Well, I know it's a small room. I'm
Yeah.
not sure they're familiar with that room, but we'll work it out.
Good, good.
So we'll be setting up one place or the other, depending. So we'll open with a song by some young ladies that I know, and we'll have welcoming remarks and a brief sort of introduction to what Race Amity is all about building friendships based on our national motto of E Pluribus Unum. And then we have our town proclamation. I heard from Emily Lavin at the county executive's office earlier today. She said she is preparing a county proclamation. And I also heard from Tito from
Senator Harkin.
Senator Harkin's office today, and he said he will be there. So I'm very excited that we're getting all of this support. It's really wonderful. And so we'll have all of that going on. One of the programs that we had during the year, we had a storyteller by the name of Clyde Herring, who came and talked about friendships and building friendships, and it was really a wonderful story. So we've asked her to come back and tell another short story, so she'll be on the program. Once we've sort of had the talking part of the program, the girls will do another song, and then the Skin Against Metal Afro-Cuban band will play. Afro-Cuban it'll be interesting.
I can hear
There's-
the
Skin Against
drums
Metal.
now.
Yeah,
That's-
they're I went to one of their
Gets my
rehearsals,
attention.
and they're amazing. You know, Afro-Cuban music is so intricately. I'm a music teacher, so you know, it's intricately layered. You know, against that beat, everybody in the band gets a different rhythm. So it's really
Oh.
very
Interesting.
cool. And then we'll have a picnic. We have our international picnic, and we're inviting the public to come and bring food to share. And so that's our plans for the day. We've also, this is my husband, Tom, and Nola Blair, who's also on the
Right, I
Friends of
remember
the
you.
Library
Yes,
Board.
Lola.
Tom's modeling the shirt, I see.
Yes.
Nice, Tom.
Very
So
nice.
this one, Mr. Morrissey, is for you.
Ooh,
Look at
man,
that.
Thank you.
man.
Favoritism here.
Geez,
So
yeah, now I
jealous.
feel a little shortchanged here.
Yeah,
That's okay.
no, yeah.
I'm the full-timer.
That's true. That's a good point.
And my husband also designed a banner. The banner will be hung in the library, in front of the library where the program banner is often hung. We'd love to show it to
Yeah.
you.
Sure,
Please.
sure, we'd like to see it.
This was also designed by my husband, who's a graphic designer as well as an acupuncturist.
All right.
Any needles in those hands? No, they're. Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
That is a very nice banner. Yeah. Is that the first time you've used it?
Yes.
Oh,
That
good.
just arrived
Okay,
yesterday.
drop your end a little.
Super.
There you go.
Oh, that's very nice. Good job.
Get that.
What's that?
Shindigs,
Very nice.
Vistaprint.
Turn it a little bit so he gets a better shot.
Yeah, please get that.
Well, actually, you know what? Here, I'll take one too. I'll put it on my.
Very
someone's
nice.
parents'
There you go.
Oh, there you go now. Got better.
Somers moms.
No. Is he on that?
What was it?
So one of the nice things about this banner is that we are going to be getting reusable stick-ons for dates, so that we'll be able to use
Oh, right.
this to publicize future events.
Yeah, good.
So it's really kind of cool.
She did a nice
Nicely
job.
designed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good colors. Friendly colors.
And so I don't know, so moving forward, we will be continuing to have the monthly gatherings at the library, usually the second Sunday of the month.
In the program room.
In the program room.
At what time?
2 p.m. Sundays. Usually the second Sunday. There are
Yeah,
a
I've
couple of
seen
places where I had to move it,
Right.
but and so anything else you want to know?
Well, if you're finished, I would like to say a few things.
Sure.
Okay, well, number one, I would like to proclaim June 9th, 2019 as Race Amity Day in the town of Somers. We thank you for celebrating it and bringing it to this board's attention. We have a proclamation that one of the board members will be presenting to you on Sunday.
Wonderful.
I am not available, unfortunately. I will be wearing my T-shirt.
Good.
My granddaughter has a dance recital,
Uh-huh.
and I have the after-party responsibilities.
Absolutely.
But I think it's a wonderful event, and I'm glad to see not only are you getting town support for this, you're getting state and county support. That's wonderful.
Yes, thank you very much. We're thrilled.
So Patty, do we need to vote on the proclamation or
No,
resolution?
you can do that.
Okay, so it's part of our record.
Wonderful. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. World needs more good feelings and good tidings and friendships, so you're certainly doing your part, and we'll try to help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So our next agenda item is our fire prevention board has proposed a code addition to chapter 26. And we'd like to hear from them as to your proposal.
Thank you very much.
That's what Patty said.
Yeah, get your run.
Good evening. Tom Twima, your building inspector, Town of Somers.
Yes, sir.
And Rob Russell. He's a member of the Bureau of Fire Prevention, as am I. Thank you for entertaining and considering the proposal we set forth regarding accessibility, residential accessibility.
Okay.
Are you going to go through it?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, I read through it.
Yeah.
So,
I sort of have an issue with it. The way I read it is that we could possibly be going to see a whole bunch of people in town and saying you have to remove your fence, you have to remove your posts, you have to move, maybe move a rock wall that you put up or something like that. I mean, I don't know how widespread that would be. I just don't see going to tell somebody who spent $10,000, $20,000 on a fence, you got to take it down. I mean, maybe you need to make them aware of it to say, hey, if your house becomes on fire, this is going to be an issue getting the truck in here. And have them sign off on the fact that they're knowledgeable. Because, I mean, I guess the other thing is you're going to go there anyway and say you have to take it down. So you're going to have to talk to the homeowner in either case. But if you came to me and you said, I want you to take that fence down that's been up for 10, 15, whatever years, I'd say, you kidding me? I'm not going to take it. I mean, I spent 20 grand on the fence. So,
all right, so what I think I'd like to do is just...
Is that your proposal? Is
What?
that your-
Yeah.
is that-
You want to tell us?
That's not the intent.
But-
not-
but that's
there
how
is-
I
There
read
is
it.
further language in the proposal to make notification to the owners that they will not be accessible in the
so
event.
what I'd like to do, why don't we just read that section
Yeah, why don't
for
we
the
just-
public?
Right.
Okay.
I'll do it if.
You do it.
Go ahead.
All right, so this is section 26-2, powers and duties. 7, the Bureau of Fire Prevention will have the authority to regulate the installation of or order the alteration or removal of any gates, arches, fences, walls, bridges, spans, culvert, speed control grade changes, privacy screening, landscaping, and similar features or devices when such items are placed or installed in such proximity to a driveway or roadway as to render a driveway in whole or in part inaccessible to fire department apparatus, or whereas a reasonable hazard to public motorists or fire department personnel is or would be created by the fire department apparatus attempting to enter or exit the property due to any aspect of installation of said devices. So I think that's what,
Well, then I see the comment that you're referring to
It's
down below, which says
right.
the Bureau of Fire Prevention will have the authority to notify the property owner, any tenants, and any insurance companies for the property of any condition or conditions that exist on the property that would prohibit or significantly hamper the fire department fulfilling their duties to life and or property safety. I mean, to me, that's Big Brother. We're you know, I just don't, I mean, the first paragraph that the supervisor just read, I read that as exactly how I said it. That you're saying we want the authority to go out and tell John Smith, you got to take your fence down. And if John Smith says, I'm not taking my fence down, well, then we're telling you, and we're going to call your insurance company, and we're going to call anybody who has anything to do with your property, that they're, you know, we may not be able to get a truck in here. I mean, do I understand that correctly? I mean, is that basically what it says?
Absolutely. We have
Rob, just get
Sorry.
onto the mic. Thanks.
You know, we, the Bureau of Fire Prevention, the fire department, we're charged with the safety of the public.
Right.
They've done something that will not let us get to their house to save them in a fire. And we know this, and we don't make them aware of it.
I have no problem with you making them aware of it and signing something. I have a problem with saying we're going to run to your insurance company, we're going to run to anybody who's got, you know, something on your house and let them know. I mean, if you come to me and I say, no, you can't take down my fence, you can't take down this, and I sign off and say, hey, you were here, you told me, I understand that, that's fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. But I have a problem with you coming in and saying, hey, if you don't do what we say, then we're going to go run into your insurance company and to any other body that might have interest in your property and let them know.
It goes further than that, though. I
Did-
mean, if you deem that it's a problem legally, your insurance company may not indemnify you.
That's what I'm saying.
Because even without calling them, I mean, you have an accident, you've already essentially acknowledged that this is a deficiency. You know, you're essentially creating a reason for them not to indemnify you. So you're opening up a whole can of worms.
But what I'm saying is, though, is if you go to the homeowner and you get them to sign, I mean, I'm sure we can come up with a document, Roland, if we're allowed to, that says, hey, I hold the town harmless.
I don't even think you can do that.
No? But we can go in, we can tell somebody you gotta start tearing stuff down?
No, I've never heard of that, so I'm not.
Oh, okay.
To me, that's an alien concept, which is.
I was going to ask you, where did you get the wording on this?
Don't you just crash through gates and fences that are in your way?
If must
I mean,
be.
in other towns I represent, they actually make people install crash-worthy gates that
And with-
collapse when.
That would be because somebody has the authority to regulate the installation of those gates and say you must put a Knox-Box device access, a radio-controlled thing that opens the door or the gate for us. I think the reason this came to you is because I'm not a lawyer. I read a lot of law, but I'm not a lawyer, so this came to you for review and suggestion. What
Well,
we're
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
accomplish...
We're having a discussion.
No, I agree. But what we were trying to accomplish is that we would have the authority to do these things. Not that we're going to take our time and run around town and say, you got to move your stone fence back or forth. We've run into several issues in the past where people have, there was on 118 a bridge that spanned,
Yeah.
you remember the property, the bridge on 118? You know, it's really no different than if you go to a house and it's falling down and you say, we cannot safely put firefighters in there because of the structural conditions that are not appropriate or cause a significant hazard, and therefore we have to notify
Well, you
certain
know,
people.
two thoughts. I mean, one, prospectively, you can establish some sort of code enforcement that says going forward, you're going to deal with this.
Yes.
But retroactively, I've got to ask, I mean, is this, you know, is it?
Pervasive? How
Yeah,
pervasive
how
is it?
pervasive is this? I mean, is it a onesie, a twosie? I mean,
times a year?
yeah, I mean, what are we talking about?
I will say, I had the idea in the first instance. I've noticed that these driveway decors have been getting more and more popular, and in some instances, they do prevent reasonable access.
What are
for-
driveway
example.
decors? I don't know.
the, whether it be stones or a fence
Columns?
or columns or gates, it's
Like the big lines
it
you
would
have
have
in
to
front of
be
your house, Rich.
it would have to
Yeah.
be it
Those
would
are
it would be
potholes.
defined in the code if it were to if it were to go through. So the initial was to address it going forward. It's unregulated right now. We don't do
Well, and I don't have a
permits
problem.
for fences unless they're enclosing a swimming
With what
pool.
Councilman Sirico is saying is 100% right. If we could put it into the planning process moving forward, be it with the zoning board or be it with the planning board, where when they're getting driveway cuts or things like that, that becomes part of the process.
With
Well, that's,
specificity.
there's regulation in effect for commercial that the planning board and the building department can enforce.
Right.
It's 1 and 2 family dwellings residential that it's been issues in the past, and it's something that we want to have a look at to prevent having future issues
So, Tom,
with new
Your
proposals.
department doesn't issue building permits for fences or electronic gates?
Fences, walls, unless it's in conjunction with a swimming pool barrier.
So that's unusual that.
So if somebody
the
puts up
building
like just a
department doesn't do
6-foot fence on their property, they don't have to come to you?
Correct.
Oh, so I guess the guys who came to me when it was above 6 feet. If it goes above a certain height, you have to come to the zoning board.
Yes, 6 feet.
Yeah, okay, that's what
But,
came
you
to
know,
us.
even so, a 6-foot fence and a truck, you know, like, what type of fence? I mean, you guys can blow through it a lot.
Well, you want to prevent that, because if you were to have to access by force, you're doing damage to your
Well,
equipment and.
But here's the thing, I mean, this gets back to the prospective and retroactive, and how serious is the situation right now? Okay, you might deal with this prospectively, but tell me what the problem is also, and how you would resolve it with specificity, you know, just don't want to be, you gotta come up with a plan to say, this is the type of, access we want.
Right, we have that, This is just a generalized. We have criteria as far as widths and setbacks that we'd like to use in reviewing a proposed.
But this reads as
project.
unbridled authority.
Because what's going to happen is you're going to go out and you're going to tell somebody, you have to change this because you have the authority to do it. And the next phone call is going to be to the supervisor. And they're going to say, you kidding me? I've had this fence up here for 20 years. I've always been fine. I'm not taking it down. And then it's going to, and that's going to be multiplied by whoever you go to. I would venture a guess you'll find very few people who, if you ask to take a fence down or move some sort of a stone wall, that are going to just say, oh yeah, okay, I'll do it. I mean, it's going to be, each one is going to become something where Rick's going to have a whole new mailbox of fences that don't want to be taken down.
Well, no, I'm not, because I have a town board that has common sense, and this is just a discussion period.
Right, no, I got you.
Yeah,
But I'm just saying, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's a little, far-reaching. Like with any code enforcement, I'm talking to code enforcers here, you know better than I, but code enforcement is basically based on, number one, a complaint. You go out and see if something is in compliance or non-compliance. Non-compliance, you take action. Or you notice something. Like, say, the volunteer firemen responded to a fire and they had a problem. Something like that got reported back to us. You would take an action. But
Well, I think the issue there is, there's nobody currently authorized to take that action. There's no language in the code that says we regulate fences or gates. And we didn't want to create a permitting process where if you wanted to put in a driveway or a gate, you had to come and fill out paperwork and take out a permit for a driveway gate when you don't have to take out one for a fence. It seemed a little unfair. And I'm speaking for myself. I keep saying we.
So you don't
but-
issue an electric permit when people want electric?
Well, the electric work is secondary to the gate. It's part of that, but it's not part of, we're not reviewing the gate. The electrical work is being reviewed in that instance.
You're not
So you
reviewing
have
access.
knowledge-
Right.
You have knowledge when these gates go in, because you're issuing electrical permits.
If there's electrical. Lots
you're
of them
not-
don't
but you're not
have manual
issu-
dates.
But no standard to say, well,
But they
this is.
could
cons-
adopt standards.
Yeah,
Well,
adopt the
that's-
standard. That's what you want to do. Adopt the standard prospectively.
Right.
You
And
know,
then
and to speak to your
understand-
point, sorry,
Right.
to speak to your point about moving forward, that's why the language says we would have the authority to regulate the installation of.
The language is not great.
Okay.
Let me just ask you that question. Was this copied from some other place, or was this something you kind of came up with?
Just kind of came
to,
up with
to, because I think the word regulate the installation of or order the alteration or removal is very strong, and that implies to a homeowner, say, you could just come by and say, change this and do it now. But the problem that you highlight is that there may be something where as people put in things, maybe in their own interest, and in the interest of firefighters who may show up on the scene of a fire, there are things that should exist, whether it be fences that are collapsible or whatever it might be. So I think you have highlighted something, as Roland is suggesting, that may be a hole in our code that we can fill. I think we would have to change some of the language there to represent more of the idea of what you're talking about here, which doesn't seem unreasonable.
Yeah, and that's why we forwarded it for your review and suggestion, because, this was our idea, and we're looking at it from the perspective
Sure.
of a firefighter and not from governing a town, and that's why we said,
Right,
this is
of
what we're
course.
trying to accomplish. We don't want to make a hurdle of a permitting process or more work that somebody's got to go out and inspect fences and gates. But we want to make sure that we can get to you in an emergency. That's what it
Absolutely,
comes down to.
absolutely.
No, I think we all understand the purpose.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Is safety and accessibility when called upon.
Yeah, the intention is laudable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no.
The language is a
So,
little
we
broad,
did something
sweeping.
similar with numbering of houses, and you went out, you understood what you were dealing with, and you came back and said, these are the changes we want to make, and then we did that. Right now, I'm not, I'm concerned, okay, so what's in place right now that I have to worry about?
I think when you say you have the ability to notify property owners, I would leave it at that, for property of any condition that exists that would prohibit or significantly hamper the fire department. As a homeowner, I would say, hey, thanks a lot. I didn't know that. If you notify me, like, oh man, this is something I ought to pay attention to that I didn't know anything about, that probably is a good thing. As Tom says, I'm not sure about that to the, to the insurance company.
The Uniform Fire and Building Code doesn't cover this topic? Fences and gates?
Not unless it's in conjunction with the swimming pool barrier.
Really?
Yes.
And that's a state, is that state law,
On-
county
on-
law,
on-
what?
The
State.
Uniform Building Fire
It's
Code?
state.
State
Well,
law.
that's
State law.
That's not still the same code, is that the uniform, isn't that replaced?
It's still referred to as that.
So this is not even covered on a state level, on a state?
Not for residential.
Not for
Just for
residential.
commercial.
Interesting. So the state doesn't even have it as a,
So you think there's a loophole in terms of protecting the homeowner and the firefighters who might show up in an emergency?
And
So we should take care of this.
Both, yes.
both, and perhaps a tenant. A tenant may be living in a
Or-
house
or
and have
right.
no idea that the fire department has been by and says, well, this is not safe, because we've notified the building owner, who goes, well, I don't want to spend money to
Right.
correct this right now. And, again, we're just looking out for the public safety.
Yeah, gotcha.
And the review that the Bureau would like to have in conjunction with the pillars, gates, et cetera, is going to be different in each instance. It could be a one-family dwelling driveway off of a state road that's got a 55-mile-an-hour speed zone versus your lake communities where your houses are within 30 feet of the street, where it doesn't matter. It's not going to hamper access. You're going to just stage on a road and do what you got to do from there. You don't even need to get into the property. So, initially it was the intent was moving forward. You know, have something in place where there's a look at what a proposal before something
Sure,
is
of course.
constructed.
Perhaps we can
That
see
was-
sample code and ordinances from other towns that have already done this, that we can take some ideas from.
Yeah, but as I said, it's gonna vary depending upon where you're at. If you're on a state road, we had discussion.
Well, we would vary it, of
upon
course.
discussion of the subject with the bureau, and one of the concerns was where these things are located on a state road where you have a high speed limit. You don't want to have to stop, even if we have a means getting through electronic gates. You don't want to stop there and wait for those gates to open if you're on a blind corner. You want to be able to have that gate set back a distance where you can get off of the main driveway and then access. You know, it takes several minutes sometimes for a gate to open.
Yeah.
Before you can move in. You
Sure.
don't want to be, in the middle of the road.
Yeah, I think what the board is concerned with is, in your minds, look, you guys, public safety. Everything you're doing is in the best interest of public safety. I think we're just concerned more with what are the volume of issues that you see out there. I mean, if we pass something like this, you're not kidding. I mean, people, you tell someone to move a wall, move a fence. Yes, it's in their best interest, but, certainly they have an investment in it. So I think, your language here needs some work. That's why we're discussing it. I think Councilman Clinch's suggestion about seeing if there's any other municipalities that, maybe not deal with the breadth of this, but parts of it that we can look at. And, I, for one,
Prospective, retrospective.
would like your feedback from our community. What you see as examples of what you're trying to regulate. So that's
think that-
reasonable, and we can meet and talk about
I mean, from our
any kind of
perspective,
revisions.
it's a little difficult because fortunately, most people in their lifetime will never have to dial 911. So, we don't have time to drive around looking for these things. The ones that we've come across have been where it's 2 a.m. and you're going somewhere and all of a sudden you see something, go, I don't know if I can swing into that driveway. I don't know if I can get through those gates. Is that bridge going to hold me, or am I going to sink an engine and now I'm the impediment to saving a life? And that's where we're looking at it from.
Well, when you say going forward, what would you do in that situation? You say drive around, what are you doing driving around 2 a.m, by the way? No. And then you see something, what would you do then? What would be your idea of what you would do now? Is jot it down in your notebook, in your car, and say, I'm going back there tomorrow to check this out? Or what is your idea?
I think really, site plans come to us from the planning board, and we review like the site plans for the shopping center and all that. And we're given opportunity to comment, but because fences and gates are not normally part of a site plan for a residential home, we don't know about them. This was more that again, we didn't want to create a permitting process, but that if we were made aware that we could give guidance, and that if we found something that was, and I try to use the language of a significant hazard, not like, oh, it's going to be inconvenient, but there's a significant hazard here, that we would have the authority to say, this needs.
You're asking for the ability to comment on those plans building plans that come in front?
No.
That they would send that to you, and you would send comments, here's our concern about that?
No,
Is
that's
that
a
what-
process we do currently with commercial properties.
Is that what you're asking for residential?
Probably not, because I don't think there's a need to put the
But you
fences
see,
on
you're
there.
introducing a concept
Just
without
wondering.
visibility to the implications of what you're requesting. I mean, that's a hard spot. And the thing is that, again, from a compliance officer's point of view, if you're out of compliance, you have insurance problems. You have all sorts of liability problems. So we need to know what we're doing. I mean, safety first, but if you came to us and said, here's 3 properties that this is an absolute problem, you might have that conversation with the homeowner. But to change the entire landscape, what we're trying to do here, without understanding what the change's implications are, is not where I want to be, right? Prospectively is another process. I mean, put it on the radar screen. Rick was just kind of maybe the planning boards. And we're doing those designs, so we understand those changes. Go ahead.
It wouldn't go through the planning board. The planning board approves subdivisions. It doesn't approve.
I understand,
Yeah,
right.
and
I mean,
and most of the time, these things are constructed to a home that's
So
already
that's some of your
3,
code,
5,
right?
9
Okay.
years old.
So you,
And so it's just its initial intent was if somebody wants to construct something at their entry, their driveway entry to their home, that there would be a review process prior to them constructing it so that we could somehow regulate it or work with the applicant to make something that wouldn't hamper emergency vehicle access to the 1 or 2 family dwelling.
Okay, so we have to figure out a way to put that for review. I mean, if those are pre-existing out there, I think that's what we're kind of shying away from. You know, knock them down if you have to, they're pre-existing, but moving forward.
Well, if they deteriorate to a point where they have to be reconstructed, that would be the time to implement the new, dimensions and setbacks that we would like to see.
All right. So, I mean, at this point, I think we need some work. Maybe you can do a redraft based on some of the comments. Some examples would probably, this is, show me. Like
What
you
you
mentioned
need.
a bridge over in off of 118. Not sure whether that would hold an apparatus. I just totally get your intent behind it, and it's laudable, and it's good to know you're looking out for public safety.
and some of the other towns, if you have some other towns that have examples.
Yeah,
We actually did some inquiries and didn't get a whole lot. Some of the towns do permits for fencing, yard fencing, and that's how they kind of have some regulation over what we're discussing.
Okay, and we'll.
I would guess that's what you're
Roland,
talking
if
about.
you're aware of.
Yeah, you can look at, North Salem has fence requirements. North Castle has both fence requirements and gate requirements. They all require permits, and fees are paid to get those permits. Does
Ooh,
require
I
inspections.
like that part.
It requires inspections. It's time consuming on your part.
Well, that's why I proposed it for the Bureau. It'd be a little bit easier having 5 persons, 6 persons having a look at it, and the enforcement responsibilities shared amongst others as well. And in certain instances, it may be something where we'd have to take a piece of apparatus out to somebody's house and pull it in a driveway and paint some lines on the ground and see what actually works.
All right.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you.
Put a spotlight on it.
We will
We'll investigate.
go back.
Go forward together.
Very good. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Tom.
guys.
And Rob. Okay, our next agenda item, authorize the license application to collect refuse within the town of Somers for AA Carting and Rubbish Removal, Inc., Cortlandt Manor, per memo from Patricia Calva, Town Clerk, dated May 23rd. I believe this was one of the carters that we had pulled off our other authorization because we wanted assurances that they were in compliance.
No, this is a new
This is
one.
brand new one, right?
Oh, this is excuse me. Yeah, they were operating in our town without a permit. So we have assurances now that they've read all these regulations, okay? Would you like us to move on that?
Consensus agenda.
Okay. Move that to consensus?
I just need you to move 6.
Yep. And then authorize supervisor to dispose of the town of Somers nutrition van for it not being in working order since 2016, per memo from Barbara Tabor. So we'll put that to the
I was at a
consensus.
meeting last night, and I was talking about the agenda. I said, anyone who wants a van that doesn't work, to please contact the town. You'd save on insurance. You don't even need a driver's license. Just get a van, put it on your property, and you can sit in it. I didn't get any takers, but I
Yeah,
did my best.
Because that's, after a number of mechanics have looked at this, that's what it's good for, a yard ornament.
All right.
So we're going to dispose of that. Number 6 is authorize the supervisor to approve going to bid to purchase 2 electric vehicle charging stations to be paid for by an ASERTA grant per memo from Suret Dim, Director of Planning, and Wendy Getting, Senior Office Assistant, dated May 14th, 2019. I am going to make a motion
Just
to...
remind us where they're going? Or where
Okay.
we want them
Oh,
to
yeah,
go?
good question, right.
Yeah. One is going to go here, and one is going to go up, so it can service both the police
So up in,
and the nutrition center.
up near Van Tassel.
Okay, that's
Right up in Van Tassel.
Yeah.
Good.
That's the second one for here, right?
Yes. It is.
Good, thank you.
Second?
Okay.
Second.
so,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Our town has volunteers.
Okay,
And that would enable us to use our grant money to get an electric vehicle.
well, we
Since
just
we already have
purchased an electric vehicle under a grant.
Right.
So we now have 2. We're going after an electric SUV police vehicle next.
Oh, all right.
So, I mean, they're all standard outlets, I guess, right? Interchangeable to all the cars that we have.
We're,
Yeah, they got it.
Well, yeah.
we're going to make sure they're designed that way, yes.
Yeah, hopefully it's not like a cell phone.
I don't, I just don't know.
This-
The flash, you have the flash cord for the nutrition
Yeah,
van.
we don't want to put the wrong one up.
All right, under current vacancies on our Affordable Housing Partners in Prevention Board, do come out, get involved in your community. We have upcoming vacancies for our Affordable Housing Board as well. Okay, proposed consensus agenda items 1 through 6. Is there any questions?
I'd just like to make a comment. Number 5,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure people know about that, that we're authorizing the supervisor to accept with gratitude $1,250 donation from the Somers Democrats to provide scholarships for day camp participants. That's much appreciated. I know we usually get some from some others as we get a little bit closer, but anything that helps a kid go to camp over the summer who can't afford it is.
Well, especially because the need for it apparently is way up
Yeah.
this year for reasons, I don't know what the reasons are, but we've gone from something like 12 to 15 to 19, now to 48, I think. So in 1 year, basically, it's more than doubled. That was the last several years. So each year it's gone up, and this year more than doubled. But regardless of the reasons, I mean, kids benefit, and so if we can help them,
That's
we
great.
do it. It just makes, we got to get more money. I think there's an article in today's paper about
Yeah,
that.
we are seeking
Right.
more of these scholarships, but we do thank the Somers Democrats for providing those scholarships for day camp. All right, we have a few announcements.
Oh, good.
Let's get to
Patty,
it.
do you want to do them all?
No.
Oh.
I'll go first.
There you go.
Lucky you, getting a U.S. passport just got easier. So next week, Tuesday, June 11th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Reese Park, the Westchester County Clerk, the mobile van will be there from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. You need proof that you're a United States citizen, such as original or certified birth certificate or naturalization certificate, a valid driver's license. The fee is going to be $145 for adults, 16 and over, and $115 for children under 16, and a $35 processing portion of the fee can be paid by check, money order, or credit card. The remainder of the fee must be paid by check or money order, no credit card, and they cannot accept cash at the mobile office. They'll take your passport photo for an additional $10, $7 for seniors, and if you need it quickly, 2 to 3 weeks, expedited service is an additional $60. So if you have any questions, you can call 914-995-3082 or visit www.westchesterclerk.com.
What day are they going to be here?
That is Tuesday, June 11th, from 11 a.m. to 2
Next
p.m.
Tuesday.
at Reese Park.
And is
I
it
went in there
renewals
once.
as
They're
well?
very helpful.
Is it renewals as well? I would've- Doesn't say.
Doesn't say, but I'm assuming you can do it, right?
Okay, next.
Okay. All right, first of all, fourth annual charity car show honoring the VFW. It's going to be on June 23rd between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Rain date will be June 30th. The entry time is between 9 and 11, and it's going to be at the Somerstown Route 100 Shopping Center. So I guess there's 2 points here. There's also the registration fee for the cars that are going to show up, and the fee is $20. All proceeds are going to go to the VFW. It's sponsored by Horton Landscaping and Marciano's Truck and Trailer. And for more information, contact 914-248-0883. Contact, and it's Kenny is the contact.
Maybe we can enter our nutrition van as a
door prize.
as an
Demolition
old-
derby vehicle.
as an old
Let me just
How
jump.
funny is that?
Supervisor, let me just jump back real quick, because in very, very small print, it says if your adult passport is expired over 5 years, you can apply with them by bringing your old passport. If it's under 5 years, you must renew by mail, submitting a form.
Okay.
That's good.
All right, so,
Okay,
but very
thank you.
small.
Thanks for
That's
the
good to know.
addition.
And a week from tomorrow, Friday, June 14th, in addition to being Flag Day, my grandmother's birthday, and Tommy Burns' 13th birthday, there's going to be a blood drive right here at Somers Town Hall from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And please come and donate. Speaking of blood, 75 years ago today, as you all know, was D-Day, where more than 2,000 Americans bravely gave their lives to liberate a continent. So if you enjoy your freedom, thank a vet.
Well, and just a little aside, I had a conversation with a 96-year-old D-Day first wave invader.
Oh, wow.
Survivor.
Well, he
If he made it to 76.
The fact that
That'd be a
I,
pretty interesting conversation.
Well, it's a D-Day survivor.
the fact that I
Not
spoke
invader.
with him, but
Does he live in
would-
town?
He lives in town. I invited him to our Independence Day celebration. Matter of fact, I sent the chief over with a certificate of appreciation from the town.
Good.
And one of our star ladies, our town clerk stars. So I'm sure, but this gentleman was sharp as a tack. We talked about, you know, his landing and the fact that they jumped off the landing craft and they were up to their necks in
Oh my
water.
God!
And then they ran across barbed wire in the water.
Yeah.
You know, I'd never heard that before. But they got tugboats and pulled it out. He was fascinating, and they are all to be commended. 75 years ago today, we wouldn't be sitting here if they didn't do what they did.
Patty, who was that gentleman? You know the guy who was here. He was D-Day. Passed away about 2 years ago. He used to come to all the parades.
Oh, yeah, nice guy.
Fred.
Fred.
DeLucia.
Fred DeLucia, right? Yes. He was so fascinating to talk to. For me, DeLuca, about D-Day, the most dramatic and perhaps most important day of the 20th century. Had D-Day not been successful, it was estimated it would have been another 2 years till 1946 till they could have launched another such invasion. By that time, Germany could have consolidated its power throughout Europe. Maybe there wouldn't have been all their power could have gone to their eastern front along Russia after if the invasion of France hadn't been successful. So it's everything you say is correct, and it's a never-ending fascination for me as a former history teacher to learn more about it. So I'd love to talk to that guy.
So an interesting that you mentioned. I said, so what you do after you made your landing, and they said, you know, they went into the towns. It was a cattle area, cattle farming, and that these wide open fields, and their supplies were supposed to come in on gliders, but what the Germans had the French do under
Occupation.
protests,
Duress.
they put posts out in all these fields, so a glider couldn't come down because they get torn apart. So, and the last thing I could go on all night about this, but he said, as soon as we finished that campaign in Europe, we all lined up and we're getting ready to go to the Pacific Front.
To Japan.
So their job, to their mind, was not done until the war ended over in.
How'd you come across this guy?
He was paying taxes. His daughter was in paying taxes. Yeah. And Michelle goes, you know, the daughter mentioned that might like a call from the supervisor.
Oh.
I was happy to comply.
Well,
Very interesting.
bring him
gentleman.
over here. We give him
Indeed.
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, well, I'll put you in touch with him. Have anything to tell
Oh,
us?
I do, as a matter of fact, speaking of that. Thank you. Somers Independence Day, if you've been reading the Somers record, you know that Uncle Sam is calling you. And the Somers Independence Day block party celebration, again, will be at the former Pepsi property. And they are advertising here better than last year. More food trucks, more music, more kids zone, more fireworks, and more, as a matter of fact. Pull up, park, and party for Patriots. And that is Saturday, June 29th, the Somers traditional July 4th celebration.
So I bought my ticket.
So did I.
Me too.
It's going to be awesome.
I'll be there.
There are a lot of organizations and a lot of work going behind this. And first and foremost, thanks to Sebastian Capital for allowing us as a town to use their campus down there. Somers Lions have acted as our agents. They're doing a great job. They have meetings every week now to discuss all the details. And our town police, our fire department is very much involved in this. And Steve Ralston goes to every one of these meetings. And
does.
in fact, they're meeting tonight. So I'm sure I'll get an update tomorrow. But if you haven't gotten your ticket, please go out online, get your ticket, because last year it sold out and some people were having to watch that awesome fireworks display from afar. So do come out. Our next regularly scheduled meeting will be June 13th, 7 p.m., right here in this town hall. We're going to have a public hearing to consider a conservation easement for the Mitchell subdivision off of 118. So, any further comments, concerns?
I think you just want to re-mention, it was Race Amity Day is going to be
Yes.
on Sunday between 5 and 12 p.m.
Also, congratulations, Nathan Hahn, who is a golfer at the high school, two-time state
Oh, he did.
champion.
I was reading
Yeah.
about him last week.
Yeah, two-time state champion.
So, thank you, and you're helping us retain the title of Titletown. Way to go. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Good night, Somers.
Good night.